All right, good morning, everybody. Hope you had a good weekend. Welcome back to Morning Market Mixer. We're doing this all through March, so it's part of TradeThirsty's March Madness event. And so these are free live sessions, Monday to Thursday, for the whole of March. Before we get into today's agenda, just want to introduce myself to people that don't know me yet. My name is Russell Barbour. I've been trading for about 15 years now, and basically back in 2012, I was in a lot of student loan debt. I was trading penny stocks at the market open, and it really wasn't a good time for me. I lost $20,000 out of a $30,000 account pretty quickly trying to chase these penny stocks at market open. So these days, I'm focusing on not over trading, oversizing, making sure everything is perfect for the trade. It really changed around for me when I started to follow people that had consistent mechanical rules and were very disciplined in their position sizing. And so today my approach is a single high quality setup on SPY options, 0DTE in particular, with very well defined entries, exits, and strict risk management for all of that. So this is what I do now. I use a bunch of different platforms here that I go through every day on the show. TradingView is my favorite trading platform. It's what I use in this event, and it's also what I use in my trading all the time. It's absolutely phenomenal. If you're not using TradingView, definitely check it out. It's well worth learning how to use. Very simple. For earnings and news, look at earningshub.com. For SPY, I use my own proprietary levels and barchart.com for SPY levels. Now let's go through the cheat sheet. This is at tradethirsty.com/MMM. You can scan the QR code, and if you want to get that cheat sheet, and I'll just type it into the chat here as well for you guys that want to check out the cheat sheet. I'm going to go through it anyway, as usual, but that's the URL in the chat there if you want to go and check out this cheat sheet. So if you scan the QR code, it'll take you to this page right here. So all about 0DTE trading and a very simple overview of the strategy that I try and use at the end of these sessions. So 0 days to expiration, obviously contracts that are expiring the same day, they're very volatile, they lose value pretty quickly. So you got to be very careful trading 0DTE alerts and trades, because the theta, basically you want to have a good timing, good momentum, and a clear market direction before you enter these 0DTE contracts, which is part of the strategy that I use. Very quick trades on these. And so basically, successful 0DTE traders rely on structured process. So they get key levels, define an opening range, watch VWAP, do everything just right before taking a trade, and basically trying to get the highest win rate possible. So I focus on 0DTE trading on SPY, mainly because of the high liquidity, and fast order execution is key with these 0DTE trades. So basically, I start going through to prepare about 15 or 20 minutes before we go live on this session. And the trades generally appear within the first couple hours of the market being open. So I prepare just before 10 a.m. To give the market some time to settle down, pick a direction. I look at news, making sure there's no crazy news coming out or anything that might affect the markets dramatically. I look at VWAP, key support and resistance levels, and I plot the opening range on the first half-hour candle right as we go live on these sessions. So basically, the strategy is a very basic opening range breakout strategy, but it works. I've been using it for a while now, and it's a fantastic, easy, simple strategy to follow. All right, let's keep going here. Let's share this tab. SPY overview for completeness. It's ETF, obviously, exchange traded fund. Tracks the S&P 500, which has over 500 stocks across 11 sectors, which is really phenomenal diversification. 1993 was when this SPY was listed. It was the first ever US ETF ever listed. And the reason I like it the most is it's number one in liquidity for trading these 0DTE options, which makes a big difference. All right, so the rest of today's agenda is pretty straightforward. We're going to talk about our premium SPY ATM alert from Friday. I'm going to go through what happened with that trade. We're going to talk about any overnight market news, any earnings, any data, that kind of thing. We're going to look at market direction using the opening range, moving averages, and VWAP. We're going to look at key intraday levels on SPY. So we're going to look at the levels on SPY. We're going to look at volatility, expected moves, and that kind of thing to talk about whether there'll be a potential trade. There's only been a couple of trades during these sessions just because the timing, it's hard to time an opening range breakout exactly. So it's been a little bit sparse on actual trade opportunities during these live sessions, but maybe we'll get one today. All right, so let's go through SPY ATM. So this is the premium service that I run. It sends out trade alerts at 10:30 Eastern Time daily. This is typically what you get on the alert. So this is SPY ATM on Friday. SPY was at 651.8, and the recommendation was a strike of 652 for the puts, entry price 206, take profit 248, stop loss 124. The stop loss is a little looser than you might expect in these because it's found over a long time testing that the stop loss has to be a bit more loose, so it gives it room to basically work out. And you can see kind of what happened on the right here. Basically, the start of the arrow is 9:30 or 10:30 Eastern Time, and you can see that we had this kind of move up against us, and that's why we want a very loose stop, because this happens fairly regularly when you enter a trade. Might be a couple of minutes of going against you and then usually start to work, as you've seen in the previous examples over these last few weeks. So this one kind of went against us for a bit, and then it just tailored all the way down. We've got 20% in about 20 minutes on this one, which was really nice. So pretty easy and straightforward trade for the SPY ATM premium service. All right, so let's talk about overnight and the weekend and this morning a little bit. So the market is gapping up today, and that's partly due to the geopolitical de-escalation over the weekend. So basically, stocks are moving higher after tensions in the Middle East eased. Reports that the US action against Iran may be delayed or avoided, reducing fears of a broader conflict. This is removing a major risk factor from the market and encouraging investors to move back into equities. So that's good news if you're bullish. It's interesting that there's these rumors, and we'll see how that kind of works out. Oil prices stabilizing, as you'd expect, as the geopolitical tensions cool. Oil prices are pulling back from recent highs, and so lower oil reduces inflation concerns, takes the pressure off the Federal Reserve on interest rates, and this can really help boost SPY. So that's also a nice factor if you're bullish too today. Dip buying after recent weakness. If we go to the charts in just a sec here, you see that recent weakness has really been bought up pretty much over the last few months. We talked about that before. But this one is after recent selling pressure tied to geopolitical fears and rising yields. Buyers are stepping back in. Traders and institutions are taking advantage of the pullback, creating a rebound effect in the market. This type of buying often fuels early morning strength, and that's what we're seeing this morning. There's no major economic events today, so nothing to worry about. Moving zero DTE contracts in an undesirable way. And there's no major earnings on today either, and that's from earningshub.com. All right, so key factors here. We're still below the 50 SMA. We're still below the 100 SMA, and we're just trying to regain the 200 SMA on the charts. And so every time we've basically sold off to new lows over the last few months, the next day we've always bounced back to some degree, and today is absolutely no different. Zoom in on the chart here. So on Friday, horrible sell-off day, all the way back down to actually below here, all the way back to 640, 647 on the daily chart here. And so this is still looking bearish to me. It's still in a choppy downtrend, right? We haven't broken out even with today's gap up. We haven't actually broken any sort of down channel here at all. We're just kind of at the top of the channel. So the same thing sort of applies here, is that this is probably not going to last on the rebound. It's probably going to start going back down. A couple of reasons for that is it's not rooted here. It's just kind of tapped it and it's still below it. So we'll see what the rest of the day holds strength-wise, but that's probably going to act as overhead resistance at this point. Of course, it all depends on news coming out of Iran. But we are starting to put in a death cross here. It's getting closer and closer. Of course, it's a very lagging one because the downtrend actually started here. But that's the problem. These moving averages sometimes is just the lag involved in them. So that's kind of where we are in the big picture, all the way back down below November, I think. Yeah, November support was broken on Friday, and of course we've gapped up above it today. So we're kind of going up a little bit here. Let's drop down to the 30-minute chart and look at the opening range and the expected move. Let's see, 30-minute chart. All right. So Friday I wasn't doing it live here, but we did have a really nice breakdown of the 30-minute opening range on a retest a little bit here. So it was a really nice trade on Friday. So here's today, the 30-minute chart. Let's hide the moving averages. Just go here. So the big green candle is the first 30 minutes. Looks like it moved a little bit after I marked it up. Turn this up a little bit. So it's an opening range of about 0.55% from here to here. It's the opening range, which is actually a little bit indicative of less of a trend day, although it's still below the 0.66 roughly, which is what defines the opening range percentage, defines whether it's going to be likely a choppy day or a trend day. So we're at 0.55 today on that. All right, let's drop down to the 5-minute chart here. So this is our 5-minute. So we have our expected moves out here, down at 651 and 662.5. So that was calculated using that the money straddle about 15 minutes before 5 to 10 here. So VIX has dropped as you'd expect. This is the daily chart on VIX. We are chopping down on the right here. This was the daily candle on today. So basically, VIX is still elevated, but nowhere like it was a few weeks ago when it was crazy. So it's kind of the state of VIX at the moment. All right, so I'm going to add the SRX levels that I have on here. Hopefully it works today. There we go. So this might look complicated, but it's pretty straightforward. The red lines act as resistance. The blue lines are support, key levels. So I like to add these to the opening range because it adds confluence or extra warning signs, maybe to not take a trade. So for example, here we have two major resistance lines right at where the opening range from the 30-minute candle actually is. So that's going to make it harder to break out here. But if it does, it could continue to the expected move or R3 there, kind of similar prices. So yeah, so we could watch the chart here and see what's going on. We know that these bands are here, right on the opening range actually for that top one. So at the moment, you'd be looking for an opening range breakout through these levels, through the top of the opening range here. I'd be looking for a close of 5-minute candle above the opening range here for a potential trade up to the expected move, or 20%, whichever comes first is my rule. Yeah. Start with a new 5-minute candle. And here, just in case you get something in the next few minutes, I'm going to start looking at contracts. 0 DTE calls. I'm going to look at 661 calls. So just getting those loaded up in my Thinkorswim. All right, so we do have the breakout here above the top of the orb in the 5 minute. This is a relatively new candle though. So we are above R2 now as well. So potential retest of the top of the opening range, and I might take a trade if one presents itself in the next few minutes. If not, I'll take the trade probably if it presents within the next half hour. So. Okay, still 3 minutes on the candle now. Yeah, just a little bit late entry for the actual breakout. A couple of minutes left on this candle. I'll probably, if it closes green, I'll probably take a trade on it. Yeah, it looks like it's going to close green. So I'm going to take a trade on the 661 calls. So I've got filled at, I didn't see that actually, 2 something. And so I've set my stop to 20%. I might take profit to 20% on those contracts. We'll see if we can get up to the expected mover or so up here. Watch it for a couple of minutes and then kind of call it a day. So just a reminder, we're going to be here to Thursday, starting at around 10 a.m. Sessions usually last 20 minutes or so. If you didn't grab the cheat sheet yet, the link's in the chat there, tradethirsty.com/MMM. I'm going to call it a day there. I'm going to let my trade work out either way, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.